Welcome to Global News. Today breaking news. 41 migrants drown after boat sink.
More tragedy at sea as the Mediterranean becomes the graveyard for more people, fleeing poverty or war or persecution to reach Europe. The Italian authorities have opened an investigation into the deaths of 41 people who died when their boat capsized. They were crossing from Fax in Tunisia, hoping to reach Italy. There were just 4 survivors rescued by a merchant vessel and then handed over to the Italian Coast Guard. The United Nations agency, the International Organization for Migration, says the first quarter of 2023 has been the deadliest for 6 years on the Mediterranean. As our top story from Rome. This is the moment 3 young adults and a child were found adrift in the Mediterranean Sea, and it's really important and urgent if you could support these people, possibly taking them on board. They were spotted by the crew of a plane run by a migrant charity, which called out to a passing ship for help, food and water. Their original boat had capsized and sunk, throwing the 45 people on board into the water, getting them on board. But these 4, originally from the Ivory Coast and Guinea, were the only ones to survive and make it safely on board the cargo vessel Salvation. The 4 migrants rescued by the Coast Guard arrived at Lampedusa this morning. They say they survived by hanging onto inflatable rubber devices. Then they clung to an abandoned motorless boat for days until their rescue. The survivors are 2 men and 1 woman in their 20s and a 13-year-old boy. They only had small cuts and bruises and were dehydrated. 2,000 migrants have been rescued and brought to Lampedusa. According to the United Nations, this is by far the most dangerous migrant crossing in the world. And it's a political issue as well. Italy's right-wing government under Giorgia Meloni was elected on a promise to clamp down on illegal migration, but so far this year nearly 94,000 migrants have reached Italy by sea. That's already double last year's figure. So for all the tough talk, more people are arriving here, and still many others are dying trying to make it. Immigration continues to be one of the most controversial political issues across Europe. It played a key role in the rise of nationalist parties across the continent over the past decade, and while that debate rages all the time, yet more lives are being lost. Sofia Battista, BBC News, Rome. A diplomatic correspondent, Caroline Hawley, is here. We just heard Sofia. There say 94,000 migrants this year alone have reached Italy. The figures are astonishing. The figures are very dramatic, both the numbers of those on the move and those dying making the journey on this one route from North Africa to Europe. 120,000 people attempted the crossings so far this year, most arriving in Italy. Around 2,000 have died or disappeared, and that's likely to be a vast underestimate, as boats often sink without trace and then Clive. Since 2014 there have been